guys, it's Ty with Ty the Dog Guy on the Daily, and I want to talk today about stubborn dogs. So here's the thing. I doubt that you have a stubborn dog. You might, because they do exist, but I doubt that you do. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. It's not uncommon that I may be working with a client and they, tell me something to the effect of, oh gosh, my dog is so stubborn. And there are a few, that as we're working together, I'll tell them, what, you really do have a stubborn dog. But it's not often. But it is often that someone is, claiming that they do have a stubborn dog. And so here's the definition of stubborn. Well, I don't know if this is the definition, to be honest. Here's my definition of stubborn. In order for a dog to be stubborn, it must fully understand what you're asking of him or her, and then choose not to listen and choose not to pay attention. And so that might seem like, yeah, duh, that makes sense. That's not that crazy of a definition. But the reality is so few dogs actually know what's being asked of them. And so many owners think their dogs know what's being asked of them. And so what I mean by that is all the time when someone says, oh, my dog knows what I'm supposed to, what he's supposed to do, or knows what I want, but he still doesn't do it, almost always they're talking about a dog that's like clueless. The dog hasn't been taught very well what it means to come. Maybe the dog understands it in scenarios A and B and C and D, but suddenly we change it and we add distractions, or we go to a new area or whatever, and now the dog isn't coming when called. And they say, oh, he's stubborn. And he's not stubborn, you just haven't taught him with distractions. Or he's not stubborn, you just haven't taught him, at a distance. Maybe you taught him from 10 feet or 20 feet, but now he's 50 feet, or whatever the case might be. So like I say, in order to have a dog who is stubborn, he has to completely understand what's wanted and then not do it. And so the reason why this is so rare is because if a dog completely does understand what you want and what's expected and what's desired, it's rare that the dog's like, no, I don't want to do that. Because most dogs are totally willing to please. They enjoy work. They enjoy the camaraderie that comes from collaborating with their owners and working together. And so, like I say, it's just kind of, there are some dogs that are just kind of, little knuckleheads that when it comes down to it, they're like, I know exactly what you want. So, where I see it go awry too often is people say that their dog knows what is wanted because of like a facial expression. And so they kind of say, come here, and the dog doesn't, and they get after the dog, hey, get over here, or something like that, and the dog kind of appears to be sorry, and they're like, see, he knows what we're talking about. And that's not a dog who knows what you're talking about. That's a dog that knows that you're angry. It's a dog that knows that you're upset. And he's like, I'm sorry, I would have come, if I knew exactly what was wanted, but I didn't know what was wanted, so I didn't come. But that's a pretty typical one. Another one is someone that says, well, he does it a lot, he just doesn't do it when blah, blah, blah. Like, he does it a lot, he just doesn't do it off leash. Or he does it a lot, he just doesn't do it when guests come over. And it's because he's stubborn. And it's like, no, it sounds like you taught him to come or heel or stay or not jump or whatever. But the second that you add those things that you really didn't spend time teaching on, suddenly we've got a dog who doesn't understand it, not stubbornness. And so like I say, stubborn is like an active thing. Not understanding is a much more passive thing. And most of the time when our dogs aren't being obedient, it's a much more passive thing. They're not getting it, they're not understanding it. And so will you come across a stubborn dog? Yes. I can think of 2 or 3 that I'm working with right now, but again, that's like out of dozens of dogs that I'm currently working with. And so it's not usually a thing. Most of the time, if you're finding yourself saying that your dog is stubborn, just smack yourself on the wrist real quick. Recognize that there's probably something you're not teaching, and then get on with it. Teach a little bit better.